So, you've been stopped in your tracks by the EX0386 alarm. We've all been there, and you know just how frustrating that can be. Well, today, we're going to demystify this thing with a really clear step-by-step guide to get your machine back up and running fast. You're right in the middle of a cycle, everything's going great, and then bam, it all just grinds to a halt. You look over at the control panel, and there it is, that blinking EX386 alarm. It's a super common sight, but it means production is at a complete standstill. So what is your machine actually trying to tell you here? And this is the alarm we're talking about today. It says something like, the turret clamp check limit switch has been deactivated during cycle start. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but don't worry. We're going to translate that into plain English and show you exactly how to get it fixed. Okay, before we even think about touching any buttons or wires, let's take a second to really understand what this alarm is all about. What message is the machine trying to send? Think of it like this. Your machine is doing a quick safety check. It's asking a simple question. Hey, is the turret securely clamped and ready to go? It's waiting for a very specific yes signal, but for some reason it's getting a no, or maybe it's getting no signal at all. And for safety, it just stops everything until it gets the right answer. Right at the center of this whole issue is one small but absolutely vital component. So let's meet the part that's usually causing all the trouble. And here it is. This is the turret clamp limit switch, also known as SQ14. Its entire job, its whole purpose in life, is to detect that the turret is clamped and then send that yes signal we were talking about. More often than not, this little guy is where our problem lies. Now, this diagram shows you how that physical switch connects to the machine's brain, the digital I/O board. You can see the SQ14 is wired directly to an input, and that's the communication path. So the problem could be the switch itself, or maybe the message is just getting lost somewhere along this path. All right, enough theory, right? You're here for a solution, and that is exactly what we've got for you. We've put together a really simple, logical, 4-step action plan to help you figure this out and resolve the alarm quickly and, most importantly, safely. But listen, before we take a single step, this right here is the most important slide in this entire explainer. I absolutely cannot stress this enough. Safety first. Before you open a single panel or touch any component, you have to follow your facility's power down and lockout procedures. Seriously, there are no shortcuts here. Okay, with the machine safely locked out, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the simplest check and then work our way up. First, a visual inspection, then a signal test. Then we'll check the wiring, and finally, if needed, we'll do a zero return. Let's dive into step 1. Step 1 is super easy. It's just a visual check. Get in there and look closely at that SQ14 limit switch. Is it physically damaged? Are the mounting bolts loose? Is there a bunch of chips or gunk built up that's keeping it from moving freely? A lot of the time, the fix is as simple as cleaning the area or just tightening a bolt. Now, if everything looks good, we move on to step 2. For this, you'll need to safely power the machine back on so you can get to the I/O diagnostic screen. Find the input that says turret clamp fin. Now, when you manually press the switch with your finger, the signal on that screen should change from a 0 to a 1. If it doesn't, we know we have a signal problem. So, if that signal test fails, the problem is most likely in the wiring. So you're going to lock out the machine again and move to step 3. You want to check all the connections at the SQ14 switch itself and then at the AP-DTP BCIO board. Look for any loose or damaged wires. A multimeter can be your best friend here to check for continuity. And for our final troubleshooting step, if the switch is good and the wiring is solid, the machine might have just lost its home position. It happens. You'll need to follow your manufacturer's specific procedure to perform a turret zero return. This basically just recalibrates and tells the machine's control where the turret's home is. By following those 4 steps, you should be in really great shape. But let's talk about what success looks like and, what to do if by some chance that pesky alarm is still hanging around. A successful fix from any of those steps should make that EX0386 alarm disappear, and that means you can get back to normal operation. The machine's ready to go, and you've solved the problem. Awesome. But let's be real, right? Sometimes things are just more complicated. You've done everything right, you've followed every single step, but that alarm is still flashing. What now? Well, don't panic. We still have a couple of options. If that alarm just won't go away, you might have a deeper issue on your hands. It's probably time to recheck all the electrical components a little more thoroughly, or just make the call for technical support. A certified technician will have the right tools and expertise to find those really tricky faults safely. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to take with you. We just spent the last few minutes going through a pretty detailed troubleshooting process. But what if a quick 30-second visual inspection of that limit switch during your routine maintenance could have caught a loose bolt or some debris and prevented this downtime from ever happening in the first place? Just something to think about. Thanks for following along.